Porsha, did you say messing with married men is something that you don't do? In your words, who said that? Who said that? You did. And I was sitting there like, yo, I know I'm not losing my mind. Is she really trying to play in our face like this? Girl, what? On every level, what? And can I also tell y'all how I felt like the last 10 minutes of the episode could have been the whole episode, and we could have used the other 32 minutes to do something else or watch something else or be productive in a different fashion. But y'all already know we're going to get into the things of the things of the things for whatever I can get into for whatever they gave. Okay, so with that being said, what's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Ta'i, to be here. And welcome to my chat party. I'm so glad that you could join me for a little bit, a lot of bit, fashionably early, fashionably late, to hear my little thoughts, my little views, my little opinions on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, ATL, Shouty, season 16, episode number 9. To those of you who showed out on my dance floor last video, you already know what it is. To those of you who are allowing the guest list to be guest listing, okay, and increasing, you already know what it is. And to those of you who was like, I don't do the dance floor, but I'll hit the little like button, whatever, show some love. Thank you. And those of you who are just not too comfortable yet, you be the ones peeking in, with the viewership and stuff. I appreciate that as well. And I just pray that y'all will just keep making it do what it do. Bring a friend along. Tell a friend about it. After all, isn't that what you do at a party? You bring people with you. Some of y'all roll with a whole entourage. Bring your entourage, okay? Because I feel like now my thought process is, well, I'm not crazy about numbers and all the things. I always tell you guys it's quality over quantity for me. I do want to get to whatever that set number is so I can be able to go live and see y'all faces. Like, I'm trying to see my peoples now, okay? That's what I'm working towards. So I would appreciate y'all if somehow y'all can help me get there. That would be even more love. But let's go ahead and get into the things of the things, y'all, okay? We got to do what we need to do with this. And so we start off with Cynthia following up with the ladies in their own kind of little groups or whatever to see what she missed when she went to bed early in Nashville. And so when it gets to the point where she meets with Porsha, this heifer lies and says she doesn't remember saying she would sleep with Angela's husband. And I said, okay, Porsha, well, let's say hypothetically you didn't remember saying that. The point is, though, you've been made aware, however, that you did say it. So have you reached out to Angela before now to apologize for what you said? Because you haven't. And then I feel like, too, if anything, her reaction, y'all, should have more so been like, oh, no, tell me you lying. I didn't say that. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. No, I did not say that. Please tell me. Oh, my God, I want to go under a rock. I'm so embarrassed. What do you mean I said that? No. Oh, my God, I got to call her. Oh, my God. It should have been all of that. We ain't get none of that. Okay. We got kind of like, it is what it is. Oh, well, a huge indifference, right? Type of attitude. So just a mess. And then it's like, she had the audacity to say she would never, as I mentioned, sleep with anyone's husband. I said, okay, y'all, let's take a minute to pause and regroup for a second off of that comment. Because I guess my next question is, was the ink fully dry on the divorce when you started messing with Fallon's husband? And y'all know that man's name. I mean, I'm just asking. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't want to have this break fly moment and I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong is wrong. Let me know on the dance floor. But he was considered a married man, right? Furthermore, there's a story allegedly that I listened to or that's out there on YouTube for sure. I'm sure it's probably on some blogs and whatnot. And this might even be old news to y'all that she was messing with this African man, another one. Okay. And he, apparently was selling her these dreams that he was going to leave his wife for her, but that never happened. And there's so much more to that. I'll have to find it again and put y'all onto whatever that was I listened to. But I'm just like, girl, okay. And then I'm like, okay, the list goes on. I was going to start naming more people, like, for instance, Future. I don't believe he's married, but still. And this is before we see the preview of Drew mention it. I've been hearing that circulating in the streets. I'm like, oh my gosh, Porsha. Like, this ain't cool. But anyways, so now we pan over to Shamia meeting with Cynthia. And she's reading her text response from Angela, who advised that after the disrespectful behavior towards her and her husband, there was nothing left to be said. And I was like, facts. And the girls have had a fake sisterhood, and it's clear that their morals and values don't align with hers. And they don't, because you're way too classy. Way too classy, Angela, and you're showing us that. And she says, it's all good though. Be blessed, okay? And I loved it. I was like, yes. So Cynthia's inviting them to the Juneteenth Bailey Q that she's going to have or host at her house. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, have we ever really been excited about the Bailey Q kind of situations? I remember the one where, was it Kenya and Nene that got into it? I remember them being out like outside or in a field of some sorts. That might have been probably the most live one. But after that, y'all, I don't remember any of the other ones because they're just not that exciting to me. But anyways, I'll say, now while it's cute that Kelly's dog lives her best life, I really wasn't concerned about this over-the-top doggy party that she had. Forgive me to the dog lovers out there. I have a dog, a Zushan to be exact. If y'all don't know what that is, it's the small little dogs that look like teddy bears, so they're cute as a button. I grew up with Rottweilers and a pit bull, and I still wasn't interested. Okay, I still was not concerned. So we're moving on. Even in this segment, Kelly and Britt's conversation was oobly boring. So we're moving on. Porsha surprises PJ with a dog. She's at her mother's house, and her sister and mother are listening in on the update about her divorce that she's sharing with them. I don't even know what she said, and I definitely wasn't going to rewind. So they get into her whole Nashville party, and she explains that the phone call that she received that she was so upset about when she was there before she came down for dinner had to do with the fact that she heard that Dennis had been with Drew. And even when I say withdrew, meaning like he'd been hanging around her and still filming, not even messing with her, right? Again, where the big deal is in that, she explained it a little bit to us last week, but it's like, to create a whole season of this, no thanks. It's not that deep. And she wanted Dennis to choose her and Pilar. So then she explains the part about Angela and casually mentioned it. And not in its entirety, mind you. She doesn't say or tell her mother and her sister that she said if Angela kept messing around with her, she was going to her husband. Okay? She's like, oh, no, I said something about messing with him. No. Stop, pause, hold the phone. Rewind, take your time, and spit it out exactly word for word verbatim. Okay? So I thought that was pretty crazy. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, with that comment being said, because she was also just kind of laughing it off and whatnot, it was so funny to her, right? You're up here, or you were up here, sourpuss and stank face because Dennis was hanging out with Drew, knowing nothing is going on with the two of them, which is the most important part to be concerned about, and you've been in your feelings the last 8 episodes over it, but saying you would somebody's husband isn't a big deal and it's funny to you? Explain how your reasoning skills work, please, Porsha. Please let me know, because I just don't get it. And another thing I was waiting for, which I knew I wasn't going to get, but I was kind of hoping maybe that I would, is for Miss Diane, for once, to hold her daughter accountable and being like, wait, girl, what did you say you was going to do with her husband now? Or, Porsha, you can't just say stuff like that about somebody's husband. Like, that's inappropriate. That's offensive. Imagine if somebody would have said that about your husband that you had or whatever. You would take grave offense to that. And so they're just, and they're, me and her sister too, just sitting there laughing, chatting it up. I'm like, this is unreal. Okay? Even with an extra woman there, like I said, her sister Lauren, she couldn't even hold her feet to the fire. That's pretty sad. And let's go right ahead and add them to the other Porsha pleasers. What did Angela call them? Puppets, lap dogs, whatever you want to call. We're going to throw Miss Diane and Lauren right on up in there because I'm confused about what it is with Porsha that none of her people know how to hold a mirror to her to encourage her to be accountable and to do better and to be better. Okay? Anyways, some of y'all might say, I know what you're thinking. No offense. I'm just saying what I done heard throughout the years. Maybe she gets it honest. But, apple don't fall too far from the tree. It's just what I heard. I ain't saying it's true. Allegedly, all the things. We're going to move on. So Shamia goes to the surrogacy clinic to have another visit with Shadina. who's the lady who carried Shiloh, and to also meet with Asha, or Asha, I think her name was Asha. She's a potential surrogate for Shamia's next pregnancy because she has to go through a few more steps. I know they mentioned she did her health stuff, but then had to do like some legal things and some other stuff. And so she walks in the room, and let's just say she wasn't what I was expecting. And I know y'all probably don't sound right, but she really threw me off. And I'm just being honest. Can I at least say something about her hair, y'all? Okay, I won't. I'm going to be an adult right now. I'm going to move forward. Yeah, I just wasn't expecting. I thought they would have a different type of woman. I don't know, y'all. Let me just stop. Let me just quit while I'm ahead. And so Shamia ends up FaceTiming her husband so they can briefly have a chat, all the things, laugh it up, the end. Now we're with Angela and Charles, or Charles, as Nazaline would say, and they're in the middle of a workout. They sit down so she can fill Charles in on the whole Nashville situation. Fast forward to Angela telling Charles she asked Porsha why she took that lady's husband. And so Charles said, how did Angela know that? And she said, well, the streets know it. And Charles said, that's the wrong place to listen, and that she might have been wrong for asking her that because it had nothing to do with her. And they have this little back and forth banter because Angela feels Charles is defending Porsha in a way. And even when Angela finally puts it to Charles what Porsha had said about screwing him and rumors of him having a baby in New York, Charles is just kind of whatever about it and just let her know, for lack of better words, listen, don't worry about that. All the mess that goes on, you just gotta ignore it. He could care less. Porsha and Dennis are now at her mother's house, not Simon's house, because we know this. Has she been inside? Have we seen any scenes? Even when she's sitting in her confessional, y'all, is that Simon's house? Y'all gotta let me know. But I know for the most part, when you see her walking around there filming, and I know she can't, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe she's limited, I don't know. So, anywho, they're getting ready to meet a potential living nanny. I'm mad Porsha was explaining to Dennis that the nanny is from South Africa, because I'm like, dang, like, you just will not let go of the African connection. I don't, like, you just won't. Like, you'll do anything to stay connected to that African bag. Allegedly, okay? How'd you come across a nanny from South Africa? I mean, are you hoping she has a wealthy brother, a wealthy cousin, a wealthy uncle, friend? Like, why African? Of all the nannies that there are, and I know they have websites and whatnot by now, why that? And so, sidebar, Dennis is all up in the confessional with Porsha. At this point, I'm like, it seems a little unnecessary, but he's there. And so she ends up pulling him to the side, and they just have a talk about filming with Drew. The producer asked him in the confessional why Porsha had to hear about him filming behind her back. And this nut is so much. I mean, I just feel I showed up and the cameras were there. So he didn't really give us an answer. Okay. So he ends up telling Porsha that Drew is no longer signed with him. Porsha tries to make something about some old BS text where she claims Dennis said Drew was trying to sleep with him. And he says she misinterpreted it, which you can tell was a crock of crap. And Porsha, yet again, trying to make something out of nothing because she is not giving real storyline, or I'm back with the jump off and I'm going to show y'all scenes this season, just giving us nothing. So let's go ahead and fast forward. We now have Britt, who's packing at her mom's house with her sister because her mom is moving in with her for a little bit and is also selling her house. They talk about losing her dad, which is unfortunate. And next thing I know, the sister and mother in the kitchen arguing. I'm like, well, damn, I mean, where did that come from? Okay, now I know the mother was talking about packing up some of the stuff, and then the sister was like, yeah, but that's my dad's stuff. How you just gonna pack his stuff up? I'm like, we went from 0 to 1,000. I was like, could y'all warm us up a little bit? And so I'm just like, that's okay, a lot going on. So they FaceTime her other sister, and my, how vastly they look from Britt. But anyways, round 2, because now the sister again, Cher, I think her name is, who was just arguing with the mother, is now having a breakdown to the sister on FaceTime. So she starts all this crying and kind of loud talking. And I'm just like, oh man, all jokes aside, she seems like she's severely depressed and needs some type of outside assistance, or, I don't know if I should say medicine because I'm not always a huge advocate all the time because I know that's just not the answer for a lot of people, and sometimes it can make you feel worse, and people are just not into that. But clearly she needs something to help her. You know, her just kind of navigating day to day without anything is not working out for her. And it seems like she's severely depressed and just has deep rooted stuff sitting within her. And maybe that professional help would help her get better footing, you know, more or equal footing. And aside from dealing with her dad's passing, she has some other unresolved and underlying issues, it seems like to me. Because keep in mind, this is the same sister who has some gripes with Britt prior episode when they went out to dinner, if you guys can remember. And I get, you know, you wanting your sister to be there for you and her husband taking over. I totally get those points. But aside from that, like, again, it was just she's wanting so much from Britt that I don't know that Britt is capable of giving. Like, in those instances, sometimes, y'all, when it's just too much to bear, we look to people at times, but not the right people. That's when you really need to speak to people who have the experience and the expertise. Okay, I am a very religious person, so I turn to Jesus, okay, for what I need. That's my medicine at the end of the day. But sometimes, even in conjunction with that, that's why he created the experts that he did, to give us even more help in the things that we need, you know. So hopefully that's something that she'll end up looking into, or if not, is feeling better and somehow has found some type of healing path. But Britt goes on to say her sister, who is having the breakdown, took the father's loss the hardest and just isn't ready to move from the house yet. And that's understandable, but still, you know, and I can totally understand why the mother is ready to move on though. And so grandma gives her little 2 cents, okay, like the OG should and would. And she tells them they've got a good God upstairs and he'll take care of everything because he will, amen, okay? And she said that's why they need to stop fussing and acting like a fool all the time. Y'all know when they be emphasizing those letters, it's real. Okay, to the point where I'm like, there's nothing else to be said after that. And sure enough, they absolutely said nothing after that because the mic was dropped. Grandma spoke and that's it. That's all. Good night. Okay? And y'all don't listen if you want to. Grandma will be on that behind. All right? So preparations are now underway for Cynthia's Juneteenth Bailey Q. Nazaline arrives first and Cynthia tells her she has a prophet coming. Child, said, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is about to be a disaster. And man, was I right. So it's raining outside, although everyone is starting to arrive. And the prophet comes in and said her hands are sweating because she's feeling something already. She goes over to Britt, the only lady sitting there, mind you, and tells her she always chooses other people and now it's time to choose herself, especially when it comes down to her business. And I'm like, you mean the business that they're calling a fraud in these streets? Allegedly? The business that she doesn't even have a license for, that Angela questioned her about in terms of her being revoked because of what Kenya did, allegedly. Like, that business lady prophet is what you're talking about. Child cheese. I was like, okay, like I said, this ain't gonna work. I said, okay, lady, you're starting already with the mess and I can't take you seriously from this moment on. And man, was I right again, because Kelly and Angela arrived next. And when the prophet got Hood out of nowhere with Kelly, and maybe because to me, she came in, you know, kind of, you know, chill, whatever. But I'm like, who flipped the switch on? Like, who is this? Do you have multiple personalities in there? But that's when I was really done, y'all. Cynthia, why do you have this lady in this house? Where did you get this lady from? I mean, now she's talking to Kelly and Rita. Yeah, I mean, he took your car because he knew what hurt you. He knew it. Like, he knew what he was doing. I'm like, girl, what? Bring it like 1,000 notches down. And she just kept with the hood tone from there on out. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm about to tune her out. Cynthia then asks her to read Angela's energy. She pretty much tells Angela she needs to spice up her love life. The rest of the ladies arrive and the prophet is given irrelevant revelations, in my opinion. Fast forward to Angela and Britt going back and forth. Britt told her she needs to use her mouth more. Angela says, I do. And Britt, you would be the one to give that advice, okay? And we know it ain't just for your husband that we're talking about, allegedly. We're talking about whatever this past situation was that you used to have going on, okay? Oh, we don't want to have to talk about the poster board, okay? We could leave that out of it. But remember, you said you was on, doing adult calls with your friend. I'm sure that came with a whole lot more than just calls, okay? And sidebar stuff that we didn't get to see, but we're going to leave it alone, allegedly, because we don't know, but you're giving us right much to work with. And from there, Britt told her, well, I'm sorry, Angela says I do use her mouth more. She said, but not as often as you with the stretch marks on your mouth, and tells her she's got miles on that thing. I was like, well, Angela calls her a whore. And they go back and forth pretty much about nothing after that. That was the best part. That quick one line hit a quick two-piece, we move on. So they then play, some Juneteenth or a Juneteenth game and hit us with a flashback of the infamous scene where Porsha really thought the Underground Railroad was a real railroad ran by a conductor. And it was a railroad that somebody drove. And I'm like, oh gosh, wait till her daughter sees this, okay? I'm just trying to figure out how she's going to explain that. I hope she's been thinking about it. Whatever. Anyway, sidebar, the food looked tasty as ever. As I told y'all, I'm a foodie all day. And so now Cynthia calls Porsha and Angela to a separate room so they can talk things out. And I definitely would have been like, no, thank you. Okay, I'm good. If I were Angela, and found it interesting that even when Angela and Porsha finally sat down, the first thing out of Angela's mouth was about Drew being invited or not to the trip. Meanwhile, the first thing and only thing out of my mouth would have been about her disrespecting me and my husband and how I'm done with her. And there's nothing left to say. That would have been an easy beef as far as I'm concerned for the next few episodes for them both. But when they circle around to that part, this nut talking about she never said that. And she's not that person. Girl, excuse me. You're not that person, okay? We're not even gonna entertain this, y'all, okay? Then in her confessional says it was a stupid comment and she shouldn't have made it. You just told Angela to her face. Let me actually rephrase that. You just lied to Angela to her face and told her that you didn't say that. Okay? Then she also apologizes in her confessional. Wrong location. You should have been given in that room with Angela, and said in a very cavalier way that she shouldn't have been having that much fun with her friends. I mean, literally like, okay, well, I shouldn't have been having that much fun with my friends. Like, what's the big deal? Like, who cares? What's the problem? Why are you raining on my parade? Because that's what you consider fun with your friends, Porsha. And you do, right? Because it's Thought City, baby. Okay, Thoughtlandia. All day with y'all. Allegedly. And they apologize to one another because apparently Angela ends up apologizing after being tugged at by Porsha for bringing up the whole why'd she take that lady's husband comment. Okay, whatever. I was speechless at this point. I'm like, Angela, why are we doing this? Okay, speechless. But then I thought about it and I said at the same time, Angela is too seasoned to be a dummy. And she's got her good eye on old girl. She knows what it is. It's in that mental Rolodex. She just knows how to move with it. Okay? And what they say, you know how to move in a room full of snakes. And so Cynthia then asked Angela to stay behind because someone else needed to speak with her. In walks Shami, and I'm like, if she says one thing about Porsha, I'm going to scream. Okay? And she brings up the text message and not understanding why Angela felt a certain way towards her. And Angela tells her that her best friend said to her, and I was like, oh no, now Angela, you're the one bringing Porsha up? Oh gosh, please. But anyways, nevertheless, she says, that she said to her, I should F her husband, and Angela was looking to Shamia as a married woman to check her. And I said, touche. What really got me was when Shamia said that it wasn't her fight. It wasn't your fight, girl? Let me get this straight. It wasn't your fight. Every fight of Porsha's has been your fight since Porsha came out of the womb. You always got that mouth open for your girl. You always ready to go to war for your girl. But when it matters the most, and when you could really tell your friend how grimy her statement was, it's not your fight. Nope. But it's not. If anything, it just shows how y'all truly get down and make exceptions for ill-fitting behavior. Okay? They get nowhere and don't see it for each other. And this is Angela and Shamia with the back and forth. Yet again, I was still confused because I'm just like, okay, Angela, you made amends so easily over something so drastic with Porsha. Who cares if she apologized? Because I sure don't. I wouldn't trust anything Porsha said. But nothing for Shamia because she didn't check her girl or take accountability. And that's fine, you feel that way, right? Because those are valid points. But then let it be a nod for both of them. Or specifically and especially for Porsha. Like, you get what I'm saying? That was a little backwards. But we get another sidebar, y'all, here. Because I just happened to notice. And I'm reminded that Monyetta is in the group photo. Now, I know we saw her arrive, and I think she was messing with some box or another before then, but it just really didn't dawn on me until this moment. I think I had paused it too because I was typing, and so it just kind of allowed me to draw attention to it again. I'm like, why is Monyetta there? And why does she just keep appearing? Like, and I know she's a sweet person. I know she is, guys. But we've already had our dealings with her for whatever season she was in, and we were good. We were not entertained. Are you not entertained? No, we were not entertained. She reminds me, do y'all remember Where's Waldo? That was something so significant to me growing up. If y'all aren't unaware, it was like this search book. So dope. I might have to look on Amazon to see if they sell them and just get one just to have as a keepsake. And it was like this little guy that would always be hidden in a mist of mess or places or whatever. And you would have to try to spot him. And sometimes it could, if you were good and had a quick eye, you would spot him right away. But sometimes it'd take a little minute. When I tell you Monyetta is Where's Waldo to me, because you be minding your business and looking around and then boom, there she is. Why? Okay. But either way, or based off of the previews for the next half of the season to come, y'all, I was like, okay, they need to stop playing with us already then, and let's get to it. Come with it. I will say I wasn't feeling the whole freaking frack reconnection hug with Phaedra and Porsha, given the history with that, but we'll have to see what it gives when we get there. For now, I say Angela's at the top of the totem pole for me because she's just classy and she's still entertaining in her own right. I thought I was feeling it for Shamia initially, but she just lost some points. She lost some cool points. I had to subtract some points for the shenanigans and the mess of this episode because I was just like, it's not okay for you to condone this type of nasty behavior. But like I said, sometimes if it's deep rooted in you and that's what you used to be too or whatever, maybe you could relate. I don't know. And I say used to be because she's married now. But it's still an African man. And listen, I don't know, okay? I don't know the ins and outs. But I'm just saying. How could they have not been running together like that as friends? I don't know. Maybe, and she goes so hard for Porsha. They remind me of Mia and... What was Mia's best friend's name? Gosh, I can't think of it. But y'all should know who I'm talking about. I may know from Potomac. Like how they were just so like... buddy and just wrapped around each other. They did everything together, including sleeping with each other's men. So it's like when y'all got that type of history sometimes and y'all run like that with people, it's like no wonder you're not going to say anything because that's what you're accustomed to, but like I said, I could be wrong. It is what it is. So I thought I liked Kelly, but I feel like with this episode, her coming with the kind of mean girl behavior with Britt towards Angela when they got to Cynthia's house, I wasn't feeling that. I said, but let me even retract or rephrase it. No, I'll say I'm not feeling her right now. But for what we see coming, the way that her and Britt kind of get into it, I was like, I might have to take that back. We'll see. Okay? Jury's still out on that one. All right? Maybe she'll come to her senses. But Anyways, y'all, the music is on. The dance floor is lit. I ain't got no more. Don't be no prudent. Hold up the wall. Get on the floor. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, do y'all still find this season to be boring at this point? Do you think this episode was better than the last episode that we got? Were y'all super hyped about the back and forth with Britt and Angela? Because it's like, it just gave, oh, that's cute, to me, but I need more. You know what I'm saying? I need more. So, and I thought it would be a real hype moment when I saw the previews prior to watching them. I'm like, that's it? That's all y'all did? I mean, okay, I guess. But anyways, y'all, in terms of my shout outs are concerned, with my bootleg horn, my party horn, oh my gosh, my people who hit that dance floor, a whole new gentry. What is going on? I see you. I see you. Ad handle here who was twerking on the dance floor. Okay. Last video. Thank you so much. My darling Pap. Mwah. And my original party king Spencer, who always showed love. Y'all already know what it is. Red Ed 6640. I even appreciate your comment. And a super special shout out must go to Jarv8, y'all. Because when I tell you, Jarv8 got on the dance floor, all right, and was two-stepping hard, okay? Because Jarv said they rarely give new channels a watch, but gave mine a chance and ended up joining our party, y'all. So, man, I tell you, I love it. Thank you so much. That made my whole entire day in that moment. So I'm so glad, that you guys are just rocking with me and flowing with me. Like I said, the love is truly real. And it's so crazy how you can feel so good or interact with people that you don't know. And sometimes you don't get this much love and joy interacting with the people that you do. You be like, leave me alone and get them away from me. So I'm grateful, y'all. I really am. I hope that this video has found you in good spirits. And if not, I pray that somehow I've said something, a little something to make you smile, make you laugh in this moment, feel a little better. I will be back next week to do it all over again. So until then, I'm sending y'all social hugs, a whole lot of love, okay? And y'all know in the meantime, in between time, what to do. Until we meet again, y'all stay up, y'all stay blessed, and I'm out. Peace.